This next video might be a bit controversial to some people. I had debated about whether or not to even include it here. I know I wanted to share with Paul, but what looks like a green paint job on the bottom behind me is actually fiberglass. I know a lot of people will be saying, well, geez, when you fiberglass a boat, it will rot. And I think it does if the boat was starting to rot and you just put some fiberglass on it to as a quick and easy fix. It will accelerate any rot that is underneath it. People are always looking for a cheaper, easier way in most things in life, and boats are no exception. The common misconception, the reason I didn't want to put this out there for one way is because a lot of people say, well, I don't have to change the stem or change the ribs or change any of the planks, you can just fiberglass it and it won't cost anything. The truth of the matter is, I think fiberglass is a great solution in a lot of ways. I know one of my own boats, Allegro, it lives on a trailer. It has for 15 years since I fiberglassed it. I don't give it a second thought as far as launching it anywhere, and it lives in a plastic garage. It's a very good solution. It works well. This boat itself was fiberglass successfully for 50 years, and it did work. There have been so many people, though, who have used glass as a dirty, quick fix that it's given it a really bad name. Anyway, the following videos I put together kind of show what was involved. It's definitely not cheaper. It adds a lot of expense. It's probably about $1,000 worth of material to fiberglass the bottom and paint it. That's in addition to what I've already done. So you can't just say, okay, don't do what you've done and just put the glass on. I'm not promoting that at all. On my own boat, I think I changed about the same number of planks I did on this one. I changed pretty well all of the planks up to the waterline. And anything that I figured would need a fastener through the planking in my lifetime before I even did it. So the following videos are basically going to show what I've done. So I guess it's not my dirty little secret anymore, and I've done it a few times on some boats, but it's not an easier, softer way. It's an addition to doing what I've done. Just finished fiberglassing the bottom, and probably one of the hardest things to do is trimming the glass at the waterline. I've just let the epoxy cure to the point where it's kind of firm but not quite rock hard yet. That way I can run a razor blade along the tape here. Make a fairly nice cut, and then I can just pull the excess off here. It worked out. I did it this afternoon, and the epoxy didn't quite dry, so had dinner and watched a bit of TV. They came out, and I think it's just about right. It's probably about 7 hours after I did the application of the glass. I'm just picking it off before it turns into stone. I've got a couple of coats of epoxy resin on the glass now, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the keel. It's going to be on top of the glass. I've pre-drilled a few of the holes. What I'm going to do is going to masking it off to handle the squeeze out from the Sikaflex. I'm going to stick this on with Sikaflex. That way, if it has to come off down the road, it can without wrecking the fiberglass. The Sikaflex is fairly good modern compromise as far as adhesive goes. It's got an adhesive quality, but if you do want to get it apart, you can. Unlike the 3M 5200, usually with 3M 5200, it's a matter of destroying whatever you're trying to take apart that's been put together with that. So just to handle the cleanup with the Sikaflex, I'm going to put this masking tape on. I'll clean this off. Then I'm going to give the whole boat another coat of epoxy resin. I'll coat the keelsons. I think I'll put the spray rails on at this point, or the rub rails, the rib stock that goes on the second lap out. I'll put that on, and then before I give it a coat of glass, that way everything's got kind of a fairly good...
And eat with her. Ramadan is regarded as one of the 5 holidays. Statement. What's feeding that right now?
No certainty. I said at the moment. But overcoming challenges. Usually, it's not so much a do out here, maybe it should be crocodiles kind of thing. And if there's still claiming new space for queer and female love, sometimes covertly, often elliptically, but always unabashedly. In a controversial performance of High School Confidential at the Juno Awards, Mayor Polk pioneered the crotch grab on live TV, much to the chagrin of producers who had told her not to. Mr. Staples later called that a life-changing moment because it led to their first record deal.
I've got the Kielsen on, I've glassed the bottom, then after a couple of coats of epoxy on top of the glass to fill the weave of the cloth with epoxy and make it smooth. I added the Kielsen, and I've also added the spray rails, which are rub rails, which are just bedded in Sikaflex. That way, and they're on top of the glass, so down the road, if they have to be changed, it's not a significant undoing of things to take them off and then replace them. Hopefully, it's not going to be in my lifetime, but I'm just going along, getting ready to give the whole hull another coat of resin, basically to fill the weave of the cloth and smooth it out. One thing I've been using is this little cordless palm sander. It's got an automatic vacuum. It works surprisingly well. It's 20 volts, so it's got a significant amount of power. I've got these big batteries here. This one battery will sand the whole boat, which is good, far easier than by hand. I think the last coat before I paint it will probably involve some hand sanding, but the majority of knocking the heavy stuff off is being done with this. Taking off the tape and the plastic now. And be getting ready to turn the boat right side up. Go back to work on the varnish on the inside. I think the nice thing about having a painted bottom is that I can mask this off, and when I get to spraying it, I can spray the outside of the hull as well, and it's the outside of the hull at the same time as the inside, so it saves a lot of time there, but I certainly made up for it for the amount of time it took to put the waterline on a boat. I hate putting a waterline on lap strike boats. So I've seen some in the past where people paint the bottom and they just follow one of the lap lines, and it looks really stupid because the waterline is running uphill about 6 inches at the front. But anyway, there's the new bottom, ready to get to work on the top side now. One thing I noticed when I was taking the tape off is there's a bit of a space between the shear plank and the side deck. There was a piece of the deck that was either rotted or split out. I just filled that with some thickened epoxy on the bottom here. But I'm just noticing here, there's not a lot of flex, but I think about what's holding this on really is just a bunch of screws that I've put in to replace the trunk nails, and the whole deck is just hundreds of iron nails holding it all together. So I think what I'm going to do, since this is the last time, hopefully the boat will be upside down in a long time, is I'm going to go along and just check where there are little spaces. Like here it's a little bit, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask it off, and I'm just going to pour some epoxy in there to just as some insurance that the deck doesn't start getting loose. I know on my own boat the side deck is getting loose. And I did do some epoxy at the top, which helped greatly, but I didn't have the boat upside down, so I can't fill places like this. They're not as easily as I can now, so I'm just going to do that.
Leah Weiss is in Churchbridge, Saskatchewan. Hi, Leah.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for calling. Now, your situation is you've got concert tickets in the U.S. and now you're wondering whether you actually want to go see the concert.
It's soil, and they have the right then to search your vehicle, which I wouldn't have a problem with that. But taking your phone, downloading everything, I don't think there's very many of us in Canada right now that haven't had chats and whatnot about what's happening with Trump and all of it. And even if you delete it, that stuff can be downloaded from the cloud.
Yeah.
Not that there's a high risk of that happening, but I guess it's the level of risk you're willing to take.
Yeah, absolutely. Leah, did you get all your money back for your hotel reservations?
Well, two of them I did. One of them wasn't covered under free cancellation, so I've contacted the hotel and asked for them to consider not charging me for it, but we'll see what happens.
What I'm doing now is got a piece of the material I used for the planking and a piece of oak similar to what I used for the new stem. On the side of the boat here, that's probably 60-year-old varnish, and on cypress it gets a really nice orange color over the years. And anyway, I've just got a little bit of planking there that's new, and I know if I just varnish that, it's not going to look like that. So I'm going to try and just figure out what kind of an aniline dye I can use to just tint the varnish a bit. The thing about aniline dye I like is it doesn't cloud the grain. It's totally transparent. You know, this is one they used to sell at Lee Valley. But it's not really light fast, so the nice thing is as this stuff fades out over time, the natural color of the wood will start to darken down and compensate. This is, I guess, lemon yellow I've put on one spot. The thing I found about mixing stain is you can't just go by what the stain looks like after you put it on. You have to add some varnish, because the varnish is actually a very amber hue that you'd be adding to it. And depending on the varnish, I noticed some boats, I can tell by looking at them, this is the varnish I use for all of the build-up coats. It's Petit varnish. It's got a nice amber hue to it. And it basically, I think it richens the color. The Epiphanes varnish, I think, is a really nice varnish. Got a magnificent gloss. The problem is that it doesn't have a lot of amber color in it. It's more of a transparent. So when I look at a boat, especially when the mahogany boats have been stained, I can tell instantly what kind of varnish has been used on it. And because it looks almost anemic if there's no amber in it. Anyway, I'm just looking at these colors here, and I'm way off base, so I'm going to have to find some thinner stuff to thin this down with. I've got another color that I found that I have, and I've done it in this area here. I think it might be close, but it's going to totally change when I get some heavy yellow on it, or amber from the varnish. I'll try that. I've done the piece of oak here as well. I'm just going to hold that up against the boat. I think it may be on the right track. Maybe just in a little more intensity. Now, the nice thing about a spirit stain is if I put one coat on and let it dry and do another one, it will be double the intensity. The downside is if you get runs in it, it will make an overlap, so the run will be visible. They're little tricky things to use, aniline stains, but that's what I think I'm going to go with is the last color that I made there. There's my final stain job. It will change a little bit on the new wood. As more coats of varnish go on, it's like putting on layers of amber. But I'm pretty happy with the match of that. It's softwood is always pretty hard to match the color on. I did darken the oak too, so it doesn't look brand new. The outside of the boat has got a lot of character. I'm trying to preserve that. And I guess tomorrow the job will be to, after the varnish is dry, to turn it right side up and get back to varnishing on the inside.